In this video, we delve into the astonishing transformation of King Henry VIII, a figure whose reign is often overshadowed by his dramatic physical decline and the implications it had on his rule and legacy. Once celebrated for his athleticism and charisma, Henry's later years were marked by a grotesque metamorphosis that not only altered his appearance, but also affected his mental state and decision-making. Our purpose is to explore the hidden medical evidence that sheds light on this shocking transformation, revealing truths that have long been suppressed about the Tudor dynasty. By examining newly analyzed medical records, we aim to uncover the factors that contributed to Henry's decline, including potential illnesses and injuries that may have exacerbated his already deteriorating health. This exploration is crucial, as it not only provides insight into the life of one of England's most notorious monarchs, but also challenges the romanticized narratives that have persisted through history. We promise to engage you with shocking revelations that will change the way you view Henry VIII, as we piece together the puzzle of his decline through a modern lens. The medical evidence we present will highlight the complexities of his condition, including possible diabetes, obesity, and other ailments that were likely exacerbated by his lifestyle choices and the pressures of kingship. As we navigate through this historical narrative, we invite you to reconsider the implications of Henry's transformation, not just for him personally, but for the entire Tudor dynasty and the course of English history. The revelations we share are not merely academic. They resonate with the human experience of decline and the often hidden struggles that accompany power and prestige. Join us as we uncover the layers of Henry VIII's life, revealing the man behind the crown and the medical realities that shaped his reign. This journey promises to be both enlightening and unsettling, as we confront the stark contrast between the youthful king who once captivated his subjects and the ailing ruler who ultimately became a shadow of his former self. Through this exploration, we aim to provide a more nuanced understanding of Henry VIII, one that acknowledges the physical and psychological toll of his reign. The hidden medical evidence we discuss will not only illuminate the challenges he faced, but also offer a glimpse into the broader context of Tudor health and medicine. As we piece together the fragments of Henry's life, we hope to spark a conversation about the importance of uncovering suppressed historical truths. The Tudor dynasty has long been romanticized, but our examination reveals the darker realities that often go unspoken. By bringing these truths to light, we honor the complexity of history and the individuals who lived it. We encourage you to engage with us as we navigate this fascinating yet troubling narrative, promising insights that will challenge your perceptions of one of history's most infamous kings. Prepare to be shocked by the revelations that await, as we unveil the hidden medical evidence that has the potential to reshape our understanding of King Henry VIII and his legacy. This is not just a story of a king's decline. It is a testament to the enduring impact of health on leadership and the intricate relationship between personal struggles and historical outcomes. Join us on this journey as we uncover the truth behind the transformation of Henry VIII, a story that is as compelling as it is cautionary. On January 24th, 1536, a catastrophic jousting accident at Greenwich Palace marked a pivotal moment in the life of King Henry VIII, setting in motion a decline that would alter not only his health, but also his reign. The event unfolded during a tournament, a popular spectacle of the time, where knights showcased their skills in combat. Henry, ever the embodiment of chivalry and martial prowess, was eager to participate, demonstrating his athleticism and strength. However, during one of the jousts, disaster struck. As he charged against his opponent, his horse stumbled, causing Henry to be thrown violently from the saddle. The impact was severe. He landed with a tremendous force, and the sound of his body hitting the ground echoed through the arena, silencing the cheers of the crowd. The king was immediately rendered unconscious, and chaos ensued as courtiers rushed to his side, fearing for his life. In the aftermath of the accident, The immediate impact on Henry's personality and behavior was profound. Once known for his vivacious spirit and commanding presence, the king began to exhibit signs of a marked change. Upon regaining consciousness, he was plagued by physical ailments, including severe pain and mobility issues, which would persist for the rest of his life. More troubling, however, were the psychological effects that emerged following the injury. Henry, who had previously been charismatic and decisive, became increasingly irritable and prone to bouts of anger. His mood swings and erratic behavior alienated those around him, including his closest advisors and family members. The once magnanimous king, who had been a patron of the arts and a beloved figure among his subjects, began to exhibit a darker side, characterized by paranoia and a growing distrust of those in his court. This transformation not only affected his personal relationships, but also had significant implications for his governance, as his decisions became increasingly erratic and impulsive. The concept of traumatic brain injury, TBI, is crucial to understanding the long-term effects of Henry's jousting accident. Medical experts today recognize that TBIs can lead to a range of cognitive and emotional disturbances, including memory loss, difficulty concentrating, and changes in personality. In Henry's case, the injury likely exacerbated pre-existing issues related to his health and temperament, contributing to a decline in his ability to rule effectively. The king's reign, which had once been marked by ambitious reforms and a strong central authority, began to falter as his judgment became clouded by the effects of his injury. His decisions regarding foreign policy, marriage, and governance became increasingly erratic, leading to a series of missteps that would have lasting repercussions for the Tudor dynasty. As we examine the catastrophic jousting accident and its aftermath, it becomes clear that this event was not merely a physical injury, but a turning point that reshaped the course of Henry VIII's life and reign. The combination of physical pain and psychological turmoil created a perfect storm that would lead to a series of crises, both personal and political. The king's inability to cope with the changes brought on by his injury contributed to a growing instability within the court and the kingdom. This decline was not just a reflection of Henry's personal struggles. It also had broader implications for England, as the nation grappled with the consequences of a ruler whose capacity for leadership had been irrevocably altered. In understanding the significance of this accident, we gain insight into the complexities of Henry VIII's character and the challenges he faced as he navigated the turbulent waters of his reign, forever marked by the shadows of that fateful day in January 1536. The jousting accident on January 24, 1536, not only marked a significant turning point in King Henry VIII's life, but also resulted in a severe leg injury that would have dire implications for his health. During the fall, the impact reopened a previous leg wound that Henry had sustained years earlier during a tournament. This injury had never fully healed, and the trauma from the recent accident exacerbated the situation, leading to a deep and festering wound that would plague the king for the remainder of his life. The reopening of this injury was not merely a physical setback. It became a source of chronic pain and discomfort that would significantly affect Henry's mobility and overall well-being. In Tudor England, the understanding of medicine and the human body was rudimentary at best. The medical knowledge of the time was limited, particularly regarding infections and their treatment. Surgeons and physicians lacked a comprehensive understanding of germs and the causes of infection, which meant that wounds like Henry's were often treated with little regard for the potential complications that could arise. Instead of employing antiseptic techniques or recognizing the need for cleanliness, medical practitioners relied on outdated methods such as cauterization and herbal remedies, which often did more harm than good. As a result, Henry's reopened leg wound became a breeding ground for infection, leading to severe complications that would further deteriorate his health. The physical suffering that Henry endured due to his untreated wounds was immense. The pain from the injury was not only acute, but also chronic, as the infection spread and the wound refused to heal properly. Reports from those close to the king indicate that he experienced excruciating pain, which was compounded by the limitations on his mobility. Once a vigorous and active monarch, Henry found himself increasingly confined to his chambers, unable to participate in the activities that had once defined his reign. The king's inability to move freely not only affected his physical health, but also took a toll on his mental state. The frustration and despair stemming from his condition contributed to the mood swings and irritability that characterized his behavior in the years following the accident. As the infection worsened, Henry's health continued to decline, leading to a series of complications that would further complicate his reign. The lack of effective medical treatment meant that the king was often left to suffer in silence, relying on the limited remedies available to him. His court, once a vibrant hub of activity and decision-making, became a place of tension and uncertainty as Henry grappled with the physical limitations imposed by his injury. The king's suffering was not just a personal tragedy. It had broader implications for the governance of England. As his health deteriorated, his ability to make sound decisions and lead effectively was compromised, leading to a growing sense of instability within the realm. The implications of Henry's severe leg injury extended beyond his immediate physical suffering. The chronic pain and infection he endured served as a constant reminder of his mortality and the fragility of power. As he struggled with his health, the king's focus shifted from ambitious reforms and the expansion of his influence to managing his pain and seeking relief. This shift in priorities had lasting effects on the Tudor dynasty, as Henry's declining health created a vacuum of leadership that would ultimately impact the political landscape of England. The jousting accident and its aftermath serve as a poignant reminder of how a single event can alter the course of history, illustrating the profound connection between a ruler's physical condition and their capacity to govern effectively. In the end, Henry VIII's severe leg injury not only marked the beginning of his personal decline, but also set in motion a series of events that would shape the future of the monarchy and the nation itself. Following the catastrophic jousting accident in January 1536, King Henry VIII underwent a profound physical and mental transformation that would define the latter years of his reign. Initially celebrated for his athleticism and robust health, Henry's condition began to deteriorate rapidly after the accident, leading to a series of health issues that would alter both his appearance and his personality. The reopening of his leg wound, compounded by infections, marked the beginning of a troubling progression of health problems that included significant weight gain and a decline in mental acuity. In the months following the accident, Henry's mobility was severely compromised due to the pain and complications from his leg injury. As he became increasingly sedentary, his weight began to balloon, a stark contrast to the fit and vigorous figure he had once been. Reports from the time indicate that he gained a considerable amount of weight, leading to obesity that would further exacerbate his health issues. This physical transformation was not merely cosmetic. It had serious implications for his overall health, contributing to a range of ailments, including potential diabetes and cardiovascular problems. The king, who had once been a symbol of vitality and strength, became a shadow of his former self, struggling with the physical limitations imposed by his injuries and weight. The psychological effects of Henry's injuries and infections were equally significant. The chronic pain and discomfort he experienced took a toll on his mental health, leading to mood swings, irritability, and bouts of depression. Once known for his charm and charisma, Henry's demeanor shifted dramatically as he grappled with the frustrations of his declining health. His behavior became increasingly erratic, characterized by outbursts of anger and paranoia. The king, who had previously enjoyed the company of his courtiers and engaged in lively discussions about politics and culture, became withdrawn and suspicious of those around him. This transformation not only affected his personal relationships, but also had profound implications for his governance. as his decision-making became increasingly erratic and impulsive. The contrast between Henry's earlier and later reign is striking. In the early years of his rule, he was a dynamic leader, known for his ambitious reforms, military campaigns, and cultural patronage. His court was a vibrant center of activity, filled with art, music, and intellectual discourse. However, as his health declined, the energy and enthusiasm that had characterized his reign began to wane. The once magnificent court became a place of tension and uncertainty, as Henry's physical and mental struggles overshadowed the political landscape. His inability to engage effectively with his advisors and subjects led to a growing sense of instability within the kingdom, as decisions were made impulsively and without the careful consideration that had once defined his leadership. Moreover, the psychological impact of his injuries and infections manifested in a growing paranoia that influenced his relationships with those closest to him. Henry became increasingly distrustful of his advisors, leading to a series of purges within his court as he sought to eliminate perceived threats. This atmosphere of fear and suspicion further alienated him from his supporters and created a rift between the king and his subjects. The vibrant and charismatic ruler who had once inspired loyalty and admiration was replaced by a figure consumed by his own insecurities and physical limitations. In summary, the transformation of Henry VIII following his injuries was marked by a troubling progression of health issues, including significant weight gain and a decline in mental acuity. The psychological effects of his injuries and infections profoundly impacted his behavior, leading to a stark contrast between his earlier and later reign. The vibrant and ambitious king who once captivated his subjects became a shadow of his former self, grappling with the physical and mental challenges that ultimately shaped the course of his legacy. This transformation serves as a poignant reminder of how the interplay between health and leadership can profoundly influence the trajectory of a ruler's reign and the fate of a nation. The horrifying decline of King Henry VIII, leading up to his death in January 1547, was marked by a series of alarming symptoms that indicated multiple organ failure and a body ravaged by years of neglect and illness. As the king's health deteriorated, he became increasingly frail, suffering from a range of ailments that included severe obesity, leg ulcers, and chronic pain. His once commanding presence was diminished, and he was often confined to his bed, unable to move without assistance. Eyewitness accounts from those who attended to him during his final days describe a man who had become a mere shadow of his former self, with a bloated abdomen and swollen limbs, indicative of the systemic failures occurring within his body. The king's skin was pallid and sallow, and he exhibited signs of jaundice, a clear indication that his liver was failing. As his condition worsened, he experienced bouts of fever and delirium, further complicating his already precarious state. The secrecy surrounding Henry's death was palpable, as the government sought to manage the narrative and maintain stability within the realm. The Tudor court was rife with intrigue, and the prospect of a power vacuum following the king's demise raised concerns among his advisors and officials. To prevent chaos and speculation, there was a concerted effort to downplay the severity of Henry's condition in the months leading up to his death. Reports circulated that the king was recovering even as he lay gravely ill, and the court maintained a facade of normalcy. This cover-up extended to the public, as officials sought to control the flow of information and avoid panic among the populace. The reality of Henry's declining health was obscured by a veil of secrecy, with only a select few privy to the true extent of his suffering. Eyewitness accounts of Henry's final moments paint a chaotic picture of a court in turmoil. As the king's condition deteriorated, those closest to him were summoned to his bedside, including his trusted advisors and family members. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a sense of impending doom as they grappled with the reality of his imminent death. Reports describe the king's final hours as a mix of clarity and confusion, with moments of lucidity interspersed with episodes of delirium. Some accounts suggest that Henry attempted to speak, but his words were often incoherent, lost in the haze of his failing body. The chaos intensified as courtiers and officials rushed to secure their positions in the wake of his death, leading to frantic discussions about succession and governance. As the king drew his last breaths, the court was filled with a sense of dread and uncertainty. The once mighty ruler, who had commanded respect and fear, was reduced to a frail figure, surrounded by those who had once revered him. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable, as witnesses grappled with the reality of losing a monarch who had shaped the course of English history. The chaos that ensued following his death was not merely a reflection of the personal loss felt by those in attendance. It was also indicative of the broader implications for the Tudor dynasty. The power struggles that erupted in the aftermath of Henry's passing would set the stage for a tumultuous period in English history, as factions vied for control and influence in a kingdom left reeling from the loss of its king. In conclusion, the horrifying decline of Henry VIII leading up to his death was characterized by the symptoms of multiple organ failure and a body that had succumbed to years of illness and neglect. The secrecy surrounding his condition and the government's cover-up only added to the tension and uncertainty of the moment. Eyewitness accounts of his final moments reveal a chaotic scene, filled with a mix of despair and urgency, as those around him faced the reality of a kingdom on the brink of change. Henry's death marked the end of an era, leaving behind a legacy that would be forever intertwined with the tumultuous events that followed. Following the death of King Henry VIII on January 28, 1547, the events surrounding the handling of his remains were marked by urgency and a sense of foreboding. Almost immediately, the reality of his rapid decomposition became apparent, shocking those who had been tasked with preparing his body for burial. The king, who had suffered from numerous health issues in his later years, had a body that was already in a state of decline, and the effects of his obesity and illness were exacerbated by the conditions of his death. Eyewitness accounts describe the horrifying sight of Henry's corpse, which began to show signs of decomposition within a matter of days. The pallor of his skin turned to a ghastly hue, and the odor of decay permeated the air, causing distress among the attendants and courtiers who were present. The rapid deterioration of the king's body was a stark reminder of his mortality, and it left those around him grappling with the reality of their loss. In the wake of Henry's death, there was a calculated decision to keep the news a secret for political reasons. The Tudor court was rife with factions and rivalries, and the prospect of a power vacuum following the king's demise raised concerns among his advisors. To maintain stability and prevent chaos, officials opted to delay the announcement of his death, allowing them time to strategize and prepare for the inevitable succession crisis. This secrecy extended to the handling of Henry's remains, as the court sought to control the narrative surrounding his passing. The decision to conceal the truth about the king's death was fraught with tension, as those in power understood that the revelation could lead to unrest among the populace and potential challenges to the throne. Amidst the chaos of managing Henry's death, a grotesque incident involving his coffin further underscored the turmoil of the moment. As preparations were made for the king's burial, his body was placed in a coffin that was hastily constructed to accommodate the urgency of the situation. However, the coffin was not sealed properly, and in a shocking turn of events, it was reported that Henry's beloved dogs, who had been kept nearby, managed to gain access to the coffin. The sight of the dogs, drawn by the scent of decay, was both macabre and unsettling. Witnesses recounted how the dogs began to gnaw at the edges of the coffin, drawn to the remains of their master. This grotesque incident served as a grim reminder of the king's mortality and the chaotic circumstances surrounding his death. It also highlighted the lack of preparation and respect afforded to a monarch of Henry's stature. as the court struggled to navigate the complexities of the situation. As the days passed, the urgency to bury Henry became increasingly pressing. The decision was made to transport his remains to St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle for interment. However, the secrecy surrounding his death continued to complicate matters, as officials worked to maintain the illusion of stability while grappling with the reality of their king's demise. The funeral arrangements were shrouded in a sense of urgency, and the court was filled with a mix of grief and anxiety as they prepared to bid farewell to a ruler whose reign had been marked by both triumph and turmoil. In conclusion, the events following Henry VIII's death were characterized by the rapid decomposition of his body and the reactions of those around him, who were horrified by the sight and smell of decay. The decision to keep his death a secret for political reasons added a layer of complexity to the situation, as the court sought to maintain control in the face of uncertainty. The grotesque incident involving his coffin and the dogs served as a chilling reminder of the king's mortality and the chaotic circumstances surrounding his passing. Ultimately, the handling of Henry's remains reflected the tumultuous nature of the Tudor court and the challenges that lay ahead for the monarchy in the wake of his death. In this video, we have explored the shocking transformation and decline of King Henry VIII, a monarch whose reign was marked by both grandeur and tragedy. We began by detailing the catastrophic jousting accident that set off a chain reaction of health issues, leading to a profound physical and mental decline. Once celebrated for his athleticism and charisma, Henry's later years were characterized by severe obesity, chronic pain, and a deteriorating mental state. The reopening of his leg wound and the subsequent infections he suffered not only impacted his mobility, but also altered his personality, leading to erratic behavior and a growing paranoia that affected his relationships and governance. We also examined the horrifying events surrounding his death, including the rapid decomposition of his body and the chaotic handling of his remains. The decision to keep his death a secret for political reasons highlighted the instability within the Tudor court, as officials scrambled to maintain control in the face of uncertainty. The grotesque incident involving his coffin and the dogs served as a chilling reminder of the king's mortality and the tumultuous circumstances that surrounded his passing. These events paint a vivid picture of a ruler whose life was marked by both triumph and tragedy, ultimately culminating in a decline that reshaped the course of English history. The importance of uncovering these hidden historical truths cannot be overstated. By examining the complexities of Henry VIII's life and reign, we gain a deeper understanding of the man behind the crown and the challenges he faced. This exploration not only enriches our knowledge of Tudor history, but also invites us to reflect on the broader implications of health, power, and leadership. The revelations we have shared challenge the romanticized narratives that have long surrounded Henry VIII, offering a more nuanced perspective on his legacy. As we conclude this video, we encourage you to engage with us further. If you found the content insightful and thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth explorations of historical figures and events. Your support helps us continue to uncover and share the hidden truths of history. Additionally, if you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you could like and share it with your friends and family. Spreading the word allows us to reach a wider audience and foster a community of history enthusiasts eager to learn and discuss the complexities of our past. We invite you to leave your thoughts and comments below. What aspects of Henry VIII's transformation surprised you the most? Are there other historical figures you would like us to explore in future videos? Your feedback is invaluable to us, and we look forward to hearing your insights and suggestions. Together, we can continue to delve into the fascinating world of history, uncovering the stories that have shaped our present and will influence our future. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we hope to see you in our next video as we continue to explore the rich tapestry of history and the hidden truths that lie within it.